All right, good afternoon once again to the Friday app review. Hopefully this time coming to you with slightly fewer video artifacts than 10 minutes ago. So like I said, today we're going to have a look at some notes apps in the time we have remaining, but we're going to kick off by talking to Paul Karff, inventor of the Keg Droid, and find out a little bit more about that product. So you want to tell us a little bit about Keg Droid, Paul?
Sure, guys. Thanks for having me here and for the opportunity to share this wonderful little toy that we have. Back in January, we were at CES, at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, and as some of what DevRelers do, sitting around a table having some drinks, started talking and brainstorming, and we had this idea of how do we have fun with using our Android technology, and one of my favorite pastimes is brewing and drinking beer.
Nice.
So I, in my garage, kind of pulled together some parts and pieces and started tinkering with it, and actually had the idea of building an actual Android model to dispense my beer. And of course, that would be enough just to do that. I wanted it to do it automatically.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what inspired it.
That's great.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about the setup. So we can see that there's I think a Motorola Zoom on the front of the Keg Droid there. So how does that work? What does that bring to the equation?
Well, the idea is that you want to let people know what beer is available, and so what I've done with the Zoom here is it's kind of acts as a kiosk mode. So it will tell you what beers are available, and that's actually how you interact with the device. So the first thing you have to do is we currently are using an NFC reader that's connected to an Arduino that's inside the body of the Android, and then you have the Android tablet. What you see now is a big banner on here telling you to scan your badge. And what that's telling you to do is you need to have an NFC badge of some kind. You can use the standard sticker kind that's just got a tag number on it, or what we're having fun doing is using our Android phones that have the NFC built into it. So as long as I unlock my phone and hold it over the scanner, you'll see that it unlocks the tablet.
Oh, nice.
Now you can interact with it.
So the tablet talks to Arduino using ADK, right?
Using the ADK, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
Perfect. And
Right.
so what happens when you actually select a beer, one of the two options? What happens then? So does that still get controlled by the Zoom and the ADK?
Yeah, so now that you're at this point, you're interacting with the Android application on the Zoom, and when you tap on one of the beers that are available, you get a drop-down menu, and you can pick either the size of beer or the size of pour. By default, I have these set up for a 2, an 8, and a 12-ounce pour. You can cancel your interaction, and it resets it, or you've actually selected the beer size that you want, and then when you select pour, that actually opens up, that sends a message to the Arduino that then tells it actually resets the flow meter, and it opens up a solenoid valve to start the pour.
Very nice. So it's a totally automated process at that point. You just scan your badge, put your glass underneath a spigot, and wait for delicious beer.
Yeah, and I think it's better than talking about it. Maybe I should show you.
I think you should.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
actually,
so
do you need a
here-
couple more testers for this
Yeah.
room?
Now, I will tell you that DevRelers are totally wonderful because I have no end of having, when I need testing done, they're always there to step up to the plate.
You're able to
Really-
find volunteers? That's surprising. People are so often so reluctant to test apps, but
This one here gets good, lots of good testing, and we've made a lot of good changes, and we now know that we have a lot more changes to make.
Great.
But let's go ahead and show you what this looks like when
let's
you actually
check it
pour the
out.
beer. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the tap. We just keep these closed so we nobody accidentally comes by and does anything, but when you open the tap, nothing happens because it's waiting for the solenoid valve. So I'm going to pick my 8-ounce pour, and I'm just holding my glass here, and I'll start pouring. And what you're going to see is a dialog pops up, and it actually shows you the progress of the pour. It's calibrated, so if you do a 2-ounce pour, the dialog does a full glass for 2 ounces. If you pick 12 ounces, it'll flow according to get a 12-ounce pour. So it's fairly accurate. So I click pour, and it starts pouring the beer. You see the dialog going, and then when it's done, it shuts off the valve, so the flow stops. The dialog disappears, the system resets, and it's ready for the next person to scan their badge and enjoy their beer.
very nice.
Right.
So I mean that's a pretty awesome use of all that technology. Have you thought about what the next steps might be, apart from different beers, of course?
Yeah, actually, this is set up for 2 beers on one device. and what happens now, if you think about it, you have two taps, but you can only do one at a time. So if you actually have a professional system, each tap should be independent and work that way. And right now, it only you can do one at a time. So we're looking at and also this kiosk mode and this interaction here is, to me, it's kind of limiting. It's a very closed system. I'll put it this way: it's kind of all enclosed. What I do actually do at this moment is when I complete the transaction, I collect the data from, I know which Android you were on, I know which beer you picked, and I know how much beer you poured. That gets sent back to an App Engine app, and I actually collect that data. And for Google I/O at the after hours party, we had 3 of these units with all automated like this, and I was collecting the statistics, and I could actually map out on the floor where each Android was. I had an app that would just highlight where each Android Keg Droid was at, and then how many beers have been poured, how many gallons have been poured.
Wow.
So it's just some fun statistics. So we want to kind of expand that even more now, where maybe you have an app on your phone. Through a registration process, you get authorized to actually talk to the Android or get a beer from the Android. And then when you can order from it, you can find out what beers are on tap all through your phone, and then kind of smooth the transition process here at some point, which gives you a scalable system, because we have one of these in our Mountain View office here. We could have one in our London office, and if you go out there and you're authorized to drink from that Keg Droid, you just order from your app and walk up to it and get your beer.
Very nice. So you could end up having quite a sophisticated system, depending obviously on sort of the distribution of Keg Droids. But you can have your favorite beers and be alerted when there's a place nearby where Keg Droid has exactly what you want to drink on tap.
Exactly.
So we have a distributed
system. It could be
right
kind of fun too that. Let's say you're not a normal user of it, but maybe one of your friends can give you a free beer token that says, hey, you can have a beer from this Keg Droid when you happen to come by.
I thought it's all you can drink in this office.
That's a dangerous system. I think everything needs to get approved by Billy, right?
Well,
gives you
there
your
you
beer
go. We could
tokens.
actually say that the Keg Droid doesn't open up office hours until 4 p.m.
That's probably
There
a
you
very
go.
wise
There you
idea,
go.
yeah.
But Billy will never approve that. Why don't you try noon? By the way, Paul, I smell a Kickstarter project right now.
This is true. It wouldn't be the first Android Kickstarter project, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, to date, how many gallons of beers have been served?
Well,
Do you have any
I'll tell you
insights?
what I know from I/O is that we had at least 670 pours. The network there, as many of you guys know that have gone to Google I/O, know the network is not always that great. So I think I missed a number of transactions, but I know at least 670 beers, and everybody was selecting the 12-ounce pour, so you can calculate how many beers.
Right.
It's
Wow,
probably
very cool.
So
20-something
wait,
gallons.
Paul. I mean, this is a review show, so I feel like I need to dive into this a little more. Are you saying that
absolutely.
if you don't have internet connectivity, then you lose those transactions?
In the current design, yes, and that's going to be one of the first changes I make.
Absolutely.
What I'm going to do for the next round is we'll have all the transactions recorded locally on a database, and then have a service running in the background synchronizing that database to App Engine.
Excellent. In
Oh,
fact,
yeah.
I have a Google I/O talk which can give you some hints as to exactly how you should do that.
Really? I'll have to take a look at
Absolutely.
that, won't I?
I see. My mic is being disrespectful. Give me one moment. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Excellent. We've got big Ian Lewis behind the producer controls today, making sure that we don't sound or look terrible, or at least not more so than we normally would.
I resent that adjective.
Nonetheless, okay, Paul. So I guess thank you for giving us that, for taking the time and making the sacrifice of having to pour and drink that beer before 4 o'clock. I know
I
that's.
will tell you,
Tough
though,
life.
rest assured that no beer was harmed in the testing. There was a lot of water that went through the system first so that we didn't waste it.
Excellent.
But
Good work.
when it came down to it,
What I feel as part of the Friday review, I would be remiss if I didn't ask what are the 2 beers you have, or 1 or 2 beers that you have on tap today.
well, currently we have on tap and what I'm drinking here now is Dogfish Head 90-minute IPA, and the other beer we have on tap is from 21st Amendment. It is Monk's Blood, which is a very interesting
Very nice choice.
Belgian ale, a strong Belgian ale. It looks almost like a porter, but not quite. It's very spicy, very interesting.
Paul, we don't usually encourage people to disturb us here in the studio when we're recording, but if you do happen to be passing by, don't be afraid to knock and deliver us something.
I'll see if we'll see what happens.
We
look
like to be
forward to it.
testers.
Perfect. All right, thanks, Paul. We should probably move on because we lost
All
a
right,
bit of
cheers,
time at the
guys.
beginning.
Thank
So
you.
thank you
Thanks,
and
Paul.
congrats. Excellent. All right, so that was Cake Droid.
Ready for some note-taking
Let's have a look at some note-taking apps. But before we get too deeply into the apps themselves, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping this week. So we're going to do things a little bit different. So as many of you know, we've sort of been experimenting with the formats of all of our shows, particularly the Friday reviews, both apps and games. And so what we're trying to do, so the point behind what we're doing here is to try and come up with ways to be able to share with developers some tips that we come across when we look at different apps. So a big part of what we do on a daily basis is check out people's apps, provide feedback, and give them some assistance to help make them better. So the Friday review is really about trying to take that and share that with you guys. So when we're picking apps, we're looking for things which both are really good, which show a great example of how to do things, but also apps which do some things wrong, specifically so that you guys can learn from those mistakes and we can sort of tell you guys all in one go, and then hopefully a lot of apps will be able to benefit from that. So to try and make that process a little bit more streamlined, we've always sort of used the voting within Moderator as something of a guide to get an idea for what people want, rather than a strict ordering of the apps that we're going to look at. We're going to take that a little bit further now, and we're going to try and do this themed shows every week. So this week we're looking at notes, next week we're looking at news apps, the week after that podcasting apps, and I think the next schedule beyond that is, what was it? Can you remember what we decided?
I don't, but we'll see.
Can you remember,
We'll
Ian?
find out.
Yeah, I believe it's news followed by recipes, then podcasting.
Oh, yeah.
Podcast was last. Okay, sorry, yes,
Lifestyle
recipes.
applications.
So if you have an app in any of those three categories, go to the Moderator page. We will have links to it on the event and in the Google Plus stream after this. Follow Android developers for the links and put them in there. And we will look at the votes, but to be perfectly honest, we're going to take a quick look at all of those apps and try and find the ones which are the most interesting or which do interesting things, or even just things which we find we can use as examples for everything else. So by all means vote, but don't be offended if we don't pick all of the apps specifically based on those vote results. All right, so enough housekeeping. Let's have a look at some apps. What have we got? So we've got 3 note-taking apps, which hopefully we'll get a chance to look at. Notes, well, let's see, you can probably read it here. Notes and Share, Note, and Papyrus. So let's get started with Notes and Share. Let's open that up on the phone.
Push to the phone.
Yoink.
All right.
All right, perfect. In fact, I'll go a little bit further over. Yep. Excellent.
Perfect.
Okay, so this is an app which is using sort of a non-standard style, if you will. So it looks like they've gone with sort of your standard sort of notebook, like it could be a Moleskine or something like that, where you've got your grid on the background in order to take notes on top. And so the entire UI is based around that. Now, there's two things I want to highlight here right off the bat, is that you've got your own sort of custom header here for Notes and Share, but then there's still the application title bar on top of that. And so, to me, I think that sort of detracts from it. So you've kind of got this full screen experience, you've got this really custom UI. Go all the way. There's no need to have that extra title bar on top. So right off the bat, I would say to hide that. Same with the menu button. So, it's a menu button of shame. So let me just scroll this up here. So you've got a menu button, but it doesn't do anything. So I would, hello. Here we have some of Paul's work.
Conduct some testing.
We can do some taste testing here. A bit of the Friday games review on the Friday review.
That's right.
So we at least need to taste. So cheers.
Reto. Cheers, Ian. That's pretty good.
That's not bad. Perfect. Okay, so moving on. So we've got a menu button of shame. Remove the menu button of shame, please. It doesn't do anything, so it doesn't need to be on screen.
And removing is really easy. You just have to set the target SDK level to anything above 11.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so nothing else will change. You won't lose anything else, and particularly for this app. It has to be 15?
15.
Interesting. We'll have to
It
set it
has
to
to be
15.
15 now. All right, 15.
15 it is. And in fact, I mean, this is a good tip. Like, for the most part, you'll be wanting to test all of your apps against the latest framework release, and the target API should always be the latest release, which is in fact 16 these days. So as soon as a new release comes out, you should really make it a matter of priority to, open up Eclipse or IntelliJ or whatever you're using to do your development and test it out. Change the target SDK level to the maximum and see what changes. Ideally, nothing should. For the most part, things should just continue to work the same that they did. Once you have that confidence, then you can release it that way, and then you'll get to take advantage of things like the more native look and feel, and everything will look and behave the way it should on new devices. So these days in particular, we really want to see people have a great experience on the Nexus 7. And so we want you to target that latest SDK version, and you lose things like legacy menu buttons and other things like that.
Right. That'll, in general, make your apps look more modern.
Yeah, exactly. That's nice, right? You want your apps to... How good is that? You change like one number in your manifest file, and suddenly your app looks cleaner and fresher and more modern, so it's kind of a no-brainer.
Right, and the other thing I want to point out is that the next thing is the button that's right above the button of shame. It's
my button of hate.
It spells EXIT, exit.
The exit button. Let me see
Right.
what the exit button does. Interesting. Now, let me see, what does the back button do? Now, you see how those do exactly the same thing? One of them is unnecessary.
Then why bother?
And you can only
Right.
get rid of one of these buttons. So now if you could choose between the exit and the back button, that may be some sort of decision you have to make. But you can't make that choice, right? The back button will always be there. So exit is entirely redundant. I have a very long blog post in which I rant about this for several pages. If you're interested, you can check that out. But for the most part, what it really all boils down to is that there is no need to have an exit button. Now, there's a lot of people which will argue with me. They will, point out all of the reasons why, as a user, they want to have an exit button. And I understand where you're coming from. The thing to remember is it's totally ambiguous, because you as a user have no idea what the developer has done to implement that exit button. So maybe it does what you want. Maybe it turns off all of the services, removes all of the alarms and exits the app. Or, more likely, all it's going to do is call finish. And calling finish is exactly what happens when you hit the back button on your main activity. So it's effectively doing the same thing. And the difference here as a user is you don't know what. It's an ambiguous button. It doesn't have any clear directive to know what's actually happening. So I'm going to stop ranting before I go on. No exit buttons. All right, let's have a look at some of the functionality.
Let's try to take some notes.
Yeah, indeed. But again, I'm going to interrupt myself. So half of these things, so these three buttons, are kind of unnecessary to have on the main screen. So right here, like, I've opened this app for the first time, and I have 8 or 9 different options, all of which I have to read and understand before I know.
Crowded, right?
Yeah, it's like I downloaded an app, I just want to take some notes, and now I need to read all of these buttons to see which of those is going to let me do that. Text notes, hand notes, audio notes, my diary,
Especially for
to-do
things
list.
such as about or help. I mean,
Yeah.
chances are you're going to use it once in the lifetime of the application.
Exactly. So this.
So your point is, Reto,
Oh,
is
I
to
like
hide
that.
those buttons
Hide
somewhere?
those buttons, yeah. Put them behind the menu. You can have your own sort of action bar sort of scenario here. So you've got your own custom header up the top, and I like that. But it would be nice to have like a menu button, sort of overflow menu, sort of over on the right there.
Yep.
And you can hide all of this stuff, at least the bottom two. The second bottom two.
Let's say, remove the exit button,
Yeah.
probably hide about and help.
Yeah,
under the
exactly.
overflow menu.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's have a look. So one thing I do want to point out is right away is that so they've used custom controls, but you can see here that they've actually implemented the button behavior properly.
Oh,
Big fan of this,
there
right?
Are states.
So there are states, so
Differentiations.
you can see when it's pressed and what thing you've pressed. This is fantastic. A lot of people building custom controls forget to implement those state indicators, and it makes a huge difference. So yeah, this is good. I'm a fan of this.
Right.
All right, text notes.
By the way, I wonder if they implemented a focus state or not.
That's a good question. I
don't have a
can't
device to
test it on
verify
here.
that.
So
Yeah.
that's a good point actually that Fred makes, is that one of the things that you want to make sure you do if you are doing states is have the focus state. So if you're navigating through it using a D-pad or a
Google TV.
yeah, or
right?
Google TV.
Yeah, so there are essentially 3 states, right?
Mhm.
Natural, normal. Are we calling it normal?
I think so.
Normal, focused, and pressed.
Exactly. So make sure you do all of them so that and that helps for accessibility as well. So it's really a good idea. All right, so we're in the notes and we can just start typing. So again, we're using this, nice. I can't talk and type at the same time. All right, nice. So you can see here, I'll just move this down slightly. We're just basically using this this notepad paradigm so that things look like a notepad, which is interesting. I think there's a lot of debate over whether or not that's sort of the best approach on mobile, but it's in keeping with the style of the rest of their app, right? And it doesn't seem to be slowing things down. So I'd say that's reasonable. Again, I would say, this title bar here is somewhat redundant. You may want to have some sort of action bar so that you can return to home or have the overflow menu, but generally speaking, just having the standard one here makes it look out of place.
Yeah, definitely. And you probably want to stick your logo in the action bar to
exactly.
preserve your brand identity so that
That's
people
right.
know, hey, they may have 3 or 4 different note-taking apps on their phone. And, you can help yourself stand out a little bit.
Exactly. Let people know who you are. Take the opportunity to brand yourself a little. So now we have a menu button that is not shameful in that it actually does something, but it is a little shameful in the way that it does it. So first off, check out the design guide on the developer.android.com/design site, and it'll tell you what the right way to build icons for your menu are. Spoilers, they are grayscale, they are flat. So all of these which have colors and sort of non-sort of flat styling look weird. Like, to me, this just looks wrong because they're too big and they're the wrong color, and for some reason all of the writing is in caps. Which I can't, really understand why. So yeah, all of this is summarized in the developer design site. So, basically just check that out, and you'll want to modify these so that they're consistent. Anything which is part of the system framework, so bringing up menus or action bars or anything like that, you want it to look like the system does. You don't want to break users out of this thing where now I'm looking at this going, oh wait, that doesn't look like I expected. Save button should be redundant. So you should build in something here to make sure that you can never lose data. So I don't want to have to hit menu save every time I change something to make sure I don't lose it if my phone turns off or if I exit the app or something.
Or if you get a phone call.
Or if I get a phone call, exactly.
It would totally, suck if you lose your content.
That's right. So every time I type something, for this in particular, you're talking about text. So it's not a huge amount of data. You're not going to have sort of a huge lag from having to save things. So yeah, definitely make save happen automatically. Let's have a look. We've got more. So again,
more text only.
Every time you see things in caps, it's like shouting. It's the same as email, right? So stop shouting at me. So we've got text to speech, share. Share loads the standard share intent, which is nice.
That's great. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's have a look. We'll go.
Well, let's go back without explicitly hitting save and see what happens
That's a good idea.
after this.
All right. So we're going to go back out of this. So
Just
are you sure you want to quit without saving your text note? No.
That just disrupts the workflow.
Exactly. I just want to hit back and go back. So this should be like at the first point, I'd say, why don't you just let me save it here? Like, do you want to save
Just
or do you want to quit?
Right. Or have it implicit.
It's exactly right, Fred. Like, have it implicit. I hate dialogues almost as much as I hate exit buttons. So I don't want to have this dialogue ask me to make a decision. The reason I hit back was because I'm about to get into the car and drive off. I don't want to have to decide on this dialogue. So make it go away and save it automatically, even before I hit exit. If I hit, look.
Sure.
The back button should always do something. So that should, at this point, dismiss this dialogue. Hitting back and having nothing change is just not right at all. So I'm going to say yes. Let's have a quick look through these because we've spent far too much time on this already. So this looks like drawing, which is nice. It would be nice if this supported multi-touch, which it doesn't right now. So that's something to consider. So it's, again, same general feedback as last time. Although this time you've got don't let the camera try and refocus, but you've got the text here for the menu items. Here is lowercase, except if you go into more and then it's up. Oh no, it's correct here.
But from the other menu, from the previous screen, it was all caps.
It was all caps. So this is the right approach. But again, you've got some issues with the actual icons, and again with the saving as well. Audio notes, I'm going to presume, is going to let us record something. Okay, so we're going to record something here. Hit stop, play.
Okay, so we're going to record something here.
Don't know if you guys could hear that, but it played it back, so that's nice. Again, here we have some inconsistency. So you're using sort of the standard buttons, whereas everything else, you've got your own custom UI. So I'd modify this to try and use that same approach. And same here, you've got save and open on screen, and the other items, they're in the menu. So again, sort of choose one way and go with that menu button of shame. All right, so let's have a quick look through these. So you've got diary, which is just a specific, and to-do list, which look like they're just sort of specific implementations. All right, we're going to have a look at the other ones as well, because we do want to actually do more than one app. So that was interesting. So the general feel there was to try and build a notes app, which looks like your notepad that you would have in paper. Now, I have a gap here, and sorry, Ian.
Oh, yeah, Rito, I just wanted to let you know that I now have a camera, too.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And also that on the live stream, there's several people commenting that not only is the focus on our little overhead webcam really annoying,
Yeah.
but we do have some
Glare,
reflections.
probably.
It would help if you moved it to the middle, but it would help actually even more if you could switch over to your tablet, if any of these support tablet, especially since we love tablets so much.
That's a good point. All right.
And then we could get a really clean picture.
Nice, we shall do exactly that. And now that you are on camera, people can decide for themselves whether the previously stated adjective is appropriate or not.
It's not true.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you for that feedback. So, okay, so I have a gap here in the middle, and that is for an app called Tote Notes, which we were going to take a look at, but I couldn't because it was not supported by any of the devices that I currently use. Now that is a fairly strong comment because I own a lot of devices. But I think the only device which I could find on the list which I have ever used was the T-Mobile Galaxy Nexus. All of the tablets, the Verizon version of the Galaxy Nexus wasn't supported. So I'm not sure exactly what you guys are doing to filter which apps are available, but I think you've gone a little bit far. So generally speaking, this is something which we try and encourage people to find out, to try and make sure that that list of devices where your app isn't available is as small as possible, or to put it in slightly more positive terms, make your app available on as many different devices as you can. So look at the permissions, look at the implied users features which those permissions are going to use, and make sure that that's not blocking out too much of your potential audience. All right, let's have
Just want to add that if the developer of Tote Note is online, feel free to join us. I would be very curious to find out the motivation behind that.
yeah, absolutely. Let us
Yeah.
know if you're even aware of
know.
this, or if you're just like, I don't get many downloads and I don't know why.
Or you have too many downloads.
Too many downloads.
Severely limit.
Exactly.
This might be a good time to mention two other things. Reto, your radio should be on the table. We get every now and then you'll gesticulate and we'll get a little bit of audio.
Every once in a while, I'll gesticulate.
Yeah,
I gesticulate more often than not. You guys just can't see it because it's all happening off camera.
The other thing is our on-air sign needs to be tilted a little bit so it stops reflecting. Yeah. Can we?
Oh wow! I
Oh,
can get it
it's-
completely
it's-
white if I work hard.
Yeah, you
go.
gotta work on it, but there you go.
Wait,
Right.
no air from it. No,
We
it's
are
on
so
air.
professional, it's unbelievable.
It is truly unbelievable
We have
how
some
professional we
team
are.
of production staff.
Some intern's
consisting
going to
of
get
3.
fired. Unfortunately, we don't have any interns working on this, so that's going to make it a hard choice as to who it's going to be. Let's have a look. What have we got next on your home screen? Is Note.
Yeah, let's switch to the tablet.
Fire up Note.
Note. Let's go. All right, it pops up a keyboard immediately, and it's got an overall light themed
So this is
with an action bar with a text typing area that you can input your text.
Yeah, very sparse, very sparse. Kind of the opposite approach to that last app in that
Yeah,
there's nothing on screen, and even the action bar is sort of light grey backgrounds around white.
So I'm going to start typing something. Dismiss my keyboard. I type something, but I don't.
This is my test.
Oh, okay, this is my test. And on the right hand side of the action bar, there are a few menu items, but based on the design of the menu items, they lack the contrast. It's not apparent to me that you have a plus sign and a folder icon. I would recommend increasing the contrast of these icons, possibly based on the design guidelines.
I like the fact that you've tried to keep it as unobtrusive as possible, and you obviously used low contrast for that reason, but if it is an action, if it is something you want people to do, I think maybe a little bit more.
Right.
Have a look. I want to check one thing. So Oh, good. So they've got the proper hints.
Accessibility.
Accessibility hints. Nice.
So imagine if I turn on voice support, it would talk to me.
I would expect so. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Good job.
So nicely.
So there's an
organized.
overflow menu. I think they appropriately hit the about and export menu items in the overflow menu.
So there's something I noticed when you first loaded it up. It said that you had to hit this to save. So this is so you have to save it once and then it'll auto save. So that's interesting. There's two problems I have with that. First of all, that's not what this icon does. So if you look at sort of our design guidelines for navigation, this button should take you to the home of the app.
Of the application.
Exactly. And once you're home, you shouldn't. That basically that button should then become inactive. It shouldn't do anything. It certainly shouldn't pop up a dialog.
So I would say if it's associated with the save action, right, it should really belong to the right hand side of the action bar, where where typically people put any action related items.
Yeah, and I'd go a step. Indeed. I'd go a step further and say that what you probably want to do is, let's see, do we have touch enabled? We do. So I would make this a touch target for clicking, so that you click on that, and it may actually work. No, so you click on that, and that will let you modify the title. And saving should just happen. So this is the same as the previous app. You shouldn't have to explicitly do something in order to start saving your work. You should just start saving it straight away.
Yeah, initially this text or string should probably says untitled or something.
Untitled 1, untitled 2.
Right.
Same way that like TextPad or Notepad works in Mac.
Yeah,
Windows.
definitely, and change this to your app icon, which brings you back to the home screen.
So what happens? So I guess if we hit plus.
Oh,
so
sorry, I
that's
just hit back and then it
exited out.
back to.
Because I was wondering, I was
Not
looking at
exit,
this. Sorry. So I was looking at this and I was wondering to myself, okay, how do I get a list of all of my notes? Because I know plus is going to let me add a new note. So now I have 2 notes. So how do I view them? I'm guessing maybe folder. So yeah, hitting the folder button shows me a list. Now, particularly on tablets, I feel like that should be something which we can have on the side. So we have a list of all of our notes and then a list view on the side, and then whichever one we're currently working on appearing next to it, rather than having them as 2 separate screens.
Time to read up on fragments.
Absolutely,
on Android.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, as far as how you would do that for a phone, I would probably have this as your home screen. So I like the idea of the first time you open it, when you have no notes, of opening it to sort of that screen where you can start typing straight away. Once you have multiple notes, it would be nice to be able to return to a home screen which had that list so that you're able to choose from. And for me, intuitively, hitting back from any particular note should take you to that list of notes.
Yeah, definitely. Now, on the folder screen, I would say, the implementation of this button is appropriate, right? Because you have an up affordance where you bring it back to the sort of, but hierarchically, this should be the home screen.
It's kind of in the other way
But
around,
if you go back up, it doesn't really make sense.
Exactly.
Because supposedly this is the topmost level of your application.
Yeah, so indeed, so that's what I think we would suggest, is that you switch these around so that when you're in a particular note, you have the up affordance over here. And then once you hit back, then you have this, which just becomes your home screen.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to know, why you went or the way that you did. But that's, I think that's our general guidance in terms of navigation.
Yeah, I also I would go back to the note editing screen. I would say, looking at this folder icon intuitively, it doesn't really tell me that, okay, it would bring me to the list of notes. Rather, I thought when I first looked at it, it would open up the previous note rather than listing of all available notes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
See, I saw it and thought to myself, this will let me tag or file this note in a particular folder.
All right, yeah.
So ambiguity is not your friend. All right, let's move on real quick. Let's have a look at the next app, which is Papyrus, which I think you were having a closer look at earlier today.
All right, let's read through. Have you read through the license agreement?
Wait,
accept?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Yes.
All right.
No, wait, don't accept the...
What?
Oh,
what? Ian,
no.
what?
Just bar the door. Don't let that legal guy in.
Do you have any lawyers in this room? So, yeah, I mean,
This is interesting.
At first launch, you're greeted by welcome to Papyrus and a bunch of overlaid instructions, which tends to be a pretty popular way of showing to your users, how exactly to use your apps. Although a lot of the icons illustrated here sort of makes sense to me, right? So you
They're
have
pretty
the
intuitive,
undo,
but it's nice to
very
have
intuitive.
that guide right off the bat.
So I think that's great. So you can just slide through it. So you can change colors, do the erase,
Nice.
tool picker.
So the
pick
only
color.
so this is all quite nice. The only thing which I would say here is it would be nice to be able to skip this entirely.
Oh, good
So
point.
it's like I've used this before. I've installed it on a different device. I don't need to go through it all. So having a close or dismiss button next to
Yeah.
at every stage, I think might be quite nice.
Yeah, it's got like five to six different steps.
Yeah.
So it would be good.
Finish.
So what's new?
What's new? So this is interesting. Like I see where you're coming from here, but I think this even on a tablet, but any sort of mobile device is it's kind of annoying. Like I know you guys have worked really hard to build these new features, but it's just another button that I have to press before I can start using the app.
Right, and chances are in in Google Play, right, you have a place where you can put what's new.
Exactly.
So use that, take advantage of that.
So by all means, have it as an overflow button item or something. But you'll notice here that we just want to get to this app so that we can talk a little bit about it in the 2 minutes we have remaining. And I think so far we've had to swipe or press like 7 or 8 times. I don't have an active pen. So this is the layout that we were talking about beforehand with sort of your tablet layout with your list on the left and your items on the right.
It's got 3 top-level items where you can add
Yeah.
notebook. So a notebook is a collection of notes.
Your
That's
notes.
how I
Okay.
understand it.
And so they've used sort of the more traditional, well, not the more traditional, but like the first app we looked at, sort of this notepad styling, so that we can start
So
typing.
is it draw?
Oh, this
it's
is a drawing one.
So just draw stuff. Whoa.
That's
Just use
interesting.
two fingers.
So that's letting you zoom and
Zoom.
pan.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's
That's
interesting.
good. Let's pick a different color. Draw something else.
Now,
Cool.
I think I have a vague recollection. So we zoom in. If I go... No? Okay. I thought maybe it was going to do some
Nello?
fancy recognition. But no. Well, Nello, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So as far as title of the notes, I think this app has implemented what we just suggested.
Exactly.
Where initially here there's no name associated with this note. Where if you type on it, you can you can input the name of the note. I hope I spelled it wrong. Spelled it right. Okay.
Nice.
So
So
you
what do we
can-
got on the menu? Share page settings. Just going to quickly check to see if share works the way we want it to work. It does. Excellent.
Awesome. And they have the up affordance here, which brings you back to the main screen of the application with a screenshot of the
Which is quite
note
nice.
that
And so
you
we
have
can
just
start
taken.
things which show up in the starred list. So that's that's all pretty good.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
I like to
Pupino.
compliment also the developer has implemented dragging,
Oh, nice.
drag and drop.
Nice bit of drag
Move
and
one
drop.
note to.
On the file, very nice. Oh, it's
So drag and drop was first introduced, I believe, in Honeycomb. I'd say.
Nice.
Yeah, but I so far I haven't seen a lot of apps taking advantage of it.
yeah.
So
This
if
is
you're
nice.
watching,
So thank you. Nicely
consider
done.
using it.
All right, we are running out of time, and I want to make sure we have enough time for Dan and Ian to get prepared for the Friday review of games. I think the last thing I would like to mention about this app is I think the only real problem. So I like the layout, I like the style, I like the navigation. The only real problem I had is that to get started, to get that first note written, I had to keep tapping 100 different things. I had to get through the tutorial, I had to get through what's new, I had to say I didn't have an active sync pen, had to then hit new notebook, which I had to give a name to, then hit new note, which I had to give a name to. So by the time we actually get to typing something the first time, I'm bored and I just want to go and do something more
What you're
quickly.
saying is that there are impatient users out there.
Yeah, that's me,
Right.
and I'm a
And
representative.
me too. Right.
And in fact, the Notepad app that I use on my computer is always the simplest one available on the system. The Notepad, TextPad. I just want to be able to hit the icon, have it start really, really quickly, and start typing something, and not even have to hit save. So that's kind of the experience that I'm looking for. And all of the other things here are a great bonus, but you want to have that ability to just write something really, really quickly. But I don't know. What do you think? So in summary, I think this is probably my favorite of the three
Oh, yeah,
apps that we've looked
definitely.
at. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Very cool. So
Yeah.
nicely done, Papyrus. Good piece of work, and to the other two apps as well. Definitely, no shame there. So some nice implementations and certainly some different approaches But hopefully some of the advice we've given will help you to tighten it up a little bit and create something even better.
All right.
Anything you want to add?
No, that's all.
We're all good? Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so next week we're going to be looking at news apps. So if you have an app that delivers the news, please put it into the moderator page and we will go through and handpick a selection which we think would be interesting to look at and talk about.
That's great.
So we'll sign off for today.
Oh.
Wait, Ian.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, why don't you tell the people at home what they can do to put their apps in the moderator?
What they can do? Oh, of course.
Exactly.
Thank you, Ian.
How do they do it?
Very discreet. So, once you find the link and you go to the appropriate moderator page and you find the appropriate category, which is going to be by week, what I want you to do then is put in a brief description of your app. But most importantly, and I think this is what Ian was very subtly alluding to, we need to have a link to the app placed in the Google Play Store. And we also would like you to include a link to your Google Plus profile. So that can be one of the developers, designers, or if you've got a Plus page for your app, so much the better. We want to try and make sure that the developers of all of these apps get a chance to join us in these Hangouts and discuss their apps and receive that feedback one-to-one. So we need a way to be able to get in touch and schedule those Hangouts with you.
That's right.
Those moderator pages are open now, and they will close the Wednesday before the Friday review, so that we have a couple days to look at the apps before we review them.
Good point.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Ian. All right, so there's going to be more of Ian in just a few minutes. So we're going to sign off, and we'll see you next week, next Friday at 1 o'clock when we're looking at news apps. So
All right.
thank you for
See
joining
next
us.
time.